you elaborate a little bit on how transgender reassignment surgery might impede battlefield readiness?
I will tell you this: as an individual who started out as a private and served for over 3 decades, there are many people that want to serve in many capacities who are unable to. If you're allergic to bee stings, if you have type 1 diabetes, though you might want to serve, you cannot. If you want to fly an F-16 but can't correct your vision appropriately, you cannot fly an F-16 or anything else. And so there are many people that want to serve. What this is about, what the military is about, is what the needs of the nation are from a national security standpoint. When they marry up with your desires, that's an awesome and great circumstance. But when they don't, the needs of the nation come first. And that's what the viewpoint of these individuals enshrined in the amendments that passed and the amendments that were offered and the arguments that were made on that behalf, and that subject fits right into that category. You have to look at it as, how does this enhance readiness and lethality? Those are the 2 things to focus on. If it does not enhance readiness and lethality, it does not belong. Go ahead, Matt.
I would add, we learned in the House Armed Services Committee that for every $1 we spend on gender reassignment surgeries in the military, we have to spend $4 additional on the appending psych medical that goes along with that. So why we would engage in an activity that causes an even accelerated cost structure around psych is very strange to me, and I'm grateful we got amendments to stop paying for those surgeries. And also, another important thing on this trans issue is the Exceptional Family Member Program. My colleague, Mr. Norman, may want to address this, but that program was reserved so that if someone in the military had a family member with a unique heart ailment or something that required an intense medical treatment, that they could use that. And that pot of money was getting robbed for people to go get gender blockers and embrace radical gender theory. Perhaps Mr. Norman wanted to speak.
No, the left is perfectly willing to take that child of a military veteran who has Down syndrome, who has chronic illnesses. They're perfectly willing to assign that dollars to transgender surgery. I'm sorry. You don't want people on the battlefield who are trying to decide if they're a man or a woman. Decide that before you go in. We want you to decide when you go in, you're going to protect and defend the freedoms of this country. That's what's lost. And when we don't have the money to fund our military, and we're going to fund it for transgenders, the 0.5% to 1% of the population, it doesn't make sense. As Scott and the others have said, it's crazy what's being done to this country now, and we're stopping it. And every one of these people behind me are willing to do that.
Do you have something to add?
Yeah, I was just going to say real quick, as a physician who practiced medicine in the military for 25 years, I'll also tell you that there's always a clear distinction in the military between what's required and what's elective procedures. And the military in general just does not pay for or encourage or fund these elective procedures, which these gender transition surgeries and the hormonal therapy and everything else that goes along with them clearly fit into that category. The other thing I'll remind you of is if you bring people in and you start this process, it takes months. It's months and months. Well over a year before you go through the hormone transition, before you get the gender reassignment surgeries and all this done. During this entire time, these individuals are not deployable. They're not deployable, so someone else is going to do a second deployment in their place during this process. That's not fair to the other members of the military, and it's just not something we should be doing in the military.
We don't make the exception for anyone else. Yes, ma'am.